Hi, I'm Cameron, and I don't just read comics. Sometimes I watch them. On today's episode of Cameron Reads Comics, brothers Jesse and Jared Watson and I are all going over the Invincible Animated Series on Amazon's Prime Video. This show is based on the amazing series of the same name by Robert Kirkman, Cory Walker, and Ryan Ottley. If you want a little bit more context, I highly recommend listening to Cameron Reads Comics, episode 33, where Jesse and I go over the first 13 issues of the Invincible comic book series, aka what this first season of the show is based on. We will definitely be referring to that in this episode. Just a warning, there are going to be full and complete spoilers for Prime Video's Invincible. And remember to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Cameron Reads Comics, and make sure to clobber the like and subscribe buttons, as well as leaving me a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Now here's our review of Season 1 of Invincible. This is
no more whispering.
If you noticed in like movies, like how much they whisper about things all the time.
I have never noticed.
Watch from now on, you will notice how much, like how quiet they act and talk in movies.
You know what I realized recently is how many times like the mouth clicking happens in movies. It's like
mouth clicking.
No, they'll just be like
no.
And that's like a beat in a scene. If you watch with subtitles, it happens all the time.
Hold on.
And what does it say?
Hold on 1 second.
Click.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, mouth click.
You're telling me that I'm watching a show, and when it cuts to another scene, it goes.
Yeah.
No.
No. It's like a dialogue beat. Like they'll be like, "Oh man, Johnny, you need to clean your room, and we have to go solve a murder," and he'll just be like shrug and just be like.
But why do you keep making that noise?
Because that's what they do. That's like what I'm saying.
Audibly, you can audibly hear it.
Yeah,
You're telling
What are
me
you
that there's
talking about?
actors in shows and movies to where at the end of their
They're like
sentence they will like so
it's not. No, it's not like an.
Robert Downey
editorial.
Jr. is like
Yeah,
he snaps and
click.
then
it'll be like yes.
but are they? Have you seen Hereditary? Because that's the
Oh
only
my-
movie where they go and you can hear it.
No, that one's actually like a very literal plot device. But I'm saying in rom-coms and other things, if like people are having like natural dialogue, that happens.
I don't believe a word that's coming out of your mouth right
I'm
now.
gonna send you guys a photo then
Yes,
or whatever.
A photo? It can't be a photo. It has to be a video of an actor going.
Yeah,
Because
I also watch with subtitles, so I can.
I do
make them
too.
both.
Yeah, my
but
wife
that's what
hates
I'm
it.
But that's what I'm saying. Is it just the subtitle or is it an actual audible noise?
Both and. It's the subtitle. The subtitle will say like mouth pop, whatever it be, and then the. Yeah.
Yeah, why don't they do different ones? Oh, that was fucking good.
Oh my gosh, you guys are funny. Okay, so now what a great little intro we have into the episode. We were recording the whole time.
Oh, that's great.
Intro into the episode that we have.
I love that.
That's great. Okay, it's
Welcome.
welcome.
But what if they're doing it like, I can't believe you finally came to the funeral. Like that would be so noticeable. Now let's go.
Okay, I'm gonna think about that for a long time.
Me too.
That's not the context I've heard it in, but okay. Okay, so guys, welcome to Cameron Reads Comics. Today we have Jesse Watson and Sword Beach superstar, local rock legend.
Keep going.
Local. That's about as much as I
Oh
have.
man, that
he
was
started with Sword Beach, too.
Wow,
Wow.
I'm like-
fucking respect.
I'm a
that.
Sword Beach fan,
Oh, man, I'm
so
a fan of you.
I like Sword Beach. My girlfriend made me stop playing.
Oh, but what's his name? You didn't introduce
Jared.
him.
Jared
There
Watson.
you go.
Local barbecue superstar at the Miller family household. For context for the audience, my dad had a barbecue, or we were at a barbecue last night for Mother's Day, and he was playing Dirty Heads the entire time, and I'm like,
Did you say, hey, I'm having this gentleman on the podcast tomorrow?
no,
Oh,
I'm not trying to be that guy.
you should.
He told me to ask Jared though when tour dates are happening, so because him and my mom want in, so There we go. We're going to leave it on that level. That being said, we're here to review Invincible, the series. And actually, I'm so excited because we have two very unique perspectives going in. Jared, have you read the comic series, like the first 15 issues of Invincible? No?
I have not.
Okay, so Jared has only watched the show. And Jesse and I, actually, if you're listening to this, feel free to go listen to, I think it's episode 33 of Cameron Reads Comics, where Jesse and I talk about the first hardcover volume of Invincible, pretty much what this season is based on. And so we have that.
It's exactly what this season is based on.
There's a little bit, there's some stuff like we never had Battle Beast and, but some of the other stuff didn't happen either. So I don't know, the way they tied it in all together, I really liked. So I guess, guys, first and foremost on the questions, what do we think about the series overall? Not like we don't have to rate it yet. That's at the end, but how do we feel?
I fucking loved it, man. You told me, hey, go watch Invincible on Prime. And I was like, okay, well, Cameron's giving me a recommendation. It's probably pretty good. So I went, I wasn't 100% sold, but I was okay. And then I went on Amazon Prime and looked at it. I saw the cover. And I was a little let down. I'm not a huge fan of American animation style, is what I guess I would call it. A lot of the Batmans, a lot of the Supermans, a lot of the teen stuff.
You don't like those?
No, I'm like,
Wow.
it's just not as good as
Yeah.
anime.
That's
to
okay,
me,
cool,
right? And it's hard, and it's like edges, or I don't know. It's just the stylistically, aesthetically, I'm just not a huge fan of it. And I knew nothing about the comic, so I started watching it, and I was like, man, why am I watching like a Teen Titan thing? Right? Like, this is stupid. Like, not stupid, but I was like, oh, man, maybe this is just something that Cameron's just into and whatever. And I'm like, I'm going to give it, I always say I'll usually give it 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to give it the 1 episode because I'm really not into this. I would normally turn this off.
It was very much cheesy at the beginning, like bread and butter.
Yeah,
it was
really
teeny
slow.
shit. It was like some teen shit. Yeah. And I got to the end, and I was like, holy fuck. This is the best fucking show if it's going where I think it's going to go. And as soon as I saw the first blood splatter on the Invincible, I was like, by the end of this bitch, this thing is going to be covered in brains and cum and bones. And I was like, oh, I get it. This is just going to get gnarlier and gnarlier and gnarlier. Yeah. And it did, and it was wonderful, and it was a great watch. It got a little slow in the middle. There was a couple episodes I could have just done without completely. There was some very funny plot holes or just silliness to it that we can get on.
Yeah.
And I thought it started insane and absolutely amazing. I thought the middle was great. There was literally 1 or 2 that I could have done without, and it ended fantastic. Like, I have been raving about this to all my homies, and nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about. And everybody that I've shown it to is coming back like, dude, this is the best fucking show on TV right now. I'm like, yeah. 100%. And now I actually love the animation style because it makes it that much more disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you are going into it like, oh, this is just like Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and you're like, there's not going to be any blood. There's not going to be any. And then you're like, fuck.
It goes from 0 to violent.
Yeah, very violent. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesse, what did you think?
I would recommend the show, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, but reading the comics made me like the show a little bit less because I knew what was happening, or I knew what should be happening, which is funny because I didn't really love the book, and now watching the show, I think the show made me like the book more.
Wow, okay. That's really interesting.
I mean? Yeah, I know it's weird. I'm a weirdo. And I really wanted to read the volumes that are past the ones that I read because I'm really I want to know what happens. I've already read it, right?
Yeah.
So I already have like an idea of what's going to happen. So I want to read those to know what's supposed to happen in season 2, and when it doesn't, I can be like, well, maybe I shouldn't have read these other volumes.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, and I would 100% recommend it to anybody. It's very, very well done.
It's interesting because like the show expanded, and this is something you were saying too earlier. Like when you and I were just talking in the shop about it, you were like, this show it expands too much, or it takes too much time. So like, I guess let's just go into episode length because that was something that you were majorly concerned about. Yes. How did you feel about the 45-minute structure?
They're too long for a cartoon for me. I'm used to watching like a half an hour like Clone Wars cartoon or something like that, And even what he was saying, there was so much filler in those middle episodes that I felt like they could have condensed a couple episodes to make it 8, make it 6, right?
I don't know if I feel
they were just so long. There was so much that I didn't need in some of those episodes.
Yeah.
Like, some of the fight scenes are super long. And usually you're like, yeah, violence, and some of them were great. But there was a couple that could have been edited for time, and they just seemed really long, man.
Yeah. Jared, what do you think about the episode length? Like 45 minutes as opposed to the traditional, like, 25. Yeah.
I liked it because I'm just in, like, when I watch shows, I'm kind of into it at that point. I'm not looking for stuff to watch for a half hour. I'm usually kind of binging. Mm-hmm. But I definitely don't agree on any fight scenes. Give me more fight scenes. Give me longer fight scenes in every movie ever. Godzilla versus Kong, Mortal Kombat. Like, what are you guys doing putting dialogue in this? Nobody wants dialogue. We did the math. Like 9 fights, 10 minutes each fight. That's 90 minutes. Fill another 20 minutes of dialogue. Mortal Kombat would have been a 10 out of 10, right? Invincible, it's like almost like the same thing where it was like, it was so smart and in some points so well written that they were like trying to overdo it, where there was episodes where it was 35, 40 minutes of dialogue and about like high school relationships. And it's like, what? Who are you targeting with this episode?
Yeah.
And it's so slow and so boring. And then you're giving us a 10-minute fight at the end. Like, well, I don't care about that episode. I just didn't care about any of the romance.
Yeah, and if we can talk about that real quick. Like,
yeah, let's go for it.
Mark and Amber's relationship, which was there in the books but was so minimal, it's a huge part of the show. And they almost have you, at least for me, they had me not liking Amber by the end.
Really?
Yeah, she's like, I knew you were a superhero. I'm not dumb, but I am a bitch.
Yeah, it was like
she's kind of bitchy, dude. And you're like, whoa.
She's super bitch.
What is he doing wrong here? Like,
that was,
come on, man.
That was one of the things, actually, of the show. Like, I think the show's, I don't know, I was about to give my score, but I'm like, I just think it's amazing.
Hey,
I was a huge fan.
By the way, he already gave his score on last week's
Falcon and Winter
Soldier review.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of this show. Yeah, I don't think I said that. But with Amber, that was, I think, one of the things that actually made the show fall short. And like in the comics, they do have that arc. I think it's probably in the second or third volume of the series. And so they had that arc and it didn't work out, but it wasn't for those reasons. And so her saying, oh, I knew you were a superhero and you lied to me. And it's like, you can't understand why he was lying to you. That was...
You have to wait till he finishes.
I thought that was the end.
No.
You know, that'd be a good beat if that was the end. But
so you're agreeing she got a little bit
she went from no. She's like, I knew, but I don't I'm not trying to understand why. And I was like, isn't that your whole thing? Like empathy? And so
and it was like it made sense that she would be mad at him if he was the superhero that was doing all the, like it made sense for him to tell her, and she didn't have to be like, oh, come here and give me a hug so I can rub your, a-hole. But like, dude, don't all of a sudden you just turn around and you're like, yeah, fuck you. I knew it anyways. Like, what? Huh?
Literally.
And Mark was like, okay, I guess I'll leave.
I feel like everybody was like, okay, we all saw that coming. Like my thing is, you have the father-son story arc, which is like the whole fucking show. And everybody wants to get it. You have fucking Robot, which voice acted by
Zachary Quinto.
Yeah, it's like genius. Fucking brilliant. Like all the voice acting, by the way, is awesome, right? You have that story arc. You're like, oh my God. And that brings in the 2 clone guys, right? You're like, oh my God, that's great. Then you have Cecil, right? Right, his story arc. Then you have the wife story arc, which is pretty fucking interesting. Even the suit maker, I'm like, I'm so invested into all these story arcs. I know what's going to happen with this high school romance. Everybody does.
Yeah.
There's 5 other story arcs, maybe 6, that are cooler than this. Why are you diluting the show with this romance? Like, you could have left all of the high school romance out. The one that I did like was his gay buddy that had the fucking robot. I thought that was great. I thought one that's like you're including kids that are like, oh, awesome. There's like a rad character. He's gay and nobody cares about it. Like, it's very like have you seen Kimbo or Chemo or whatever? It's a rad Netflix show. I just love that like sexuality and being gay in shows is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
It's just there.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
great. Fuck yeah. It didn't
It's-
even make me go, oh, they're virtue signaling or whatever. It's like, nope, this is how it should be.
Yeah.
This is great. So I thought kudos to them, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of shows doing that. Sorry, but I got off point. But
That's good.
that was interesting. And then they made it interesting by his boyfriend becoming a fucking... am I spoiler alert?
No, go
His
ahead.
boyfriend becoming a cyborg. I'm like, this is great. Have Amber become a cyborg. If nothing is exciting is going to happen, nobody fucking cares. I just
Yeah.
didn't care about every time it got to that. I would like get on my phone.
See, they should have made the episode shorter without all the Amber bullshit.
Yeah.
That is so funny. That's like
Because it's not in the book. The Amber drama that they have is not in the book.
it is. It's just not.
And not
as-
yet.
It's not yet.
Not in the the first 15 volumes. It wasn't there.
Yeah.
15 volumes, 15 issues.
Yeah, I was like, it's a pretty sure 12.
I'm still learning.
You know what just most surprised me though is that like, so I guess on the other side is I like that they fleshed out everything because from what I remember, I read these. I probably read the series over a period of like 3 years, and so
But you're fresh. You read it again when I did, right?
I only read the first volume, not
you
like
sucker.
from what I remember about Amber is like I just like that they gave her character some dimension because and this is in my defense for the shows being longer, like I really appreciated the 45-minute structure and the 8 episodes. I'm like, if you're going to give me 45 minutes each, I don't need it super long. So maybe if you're saying for 6, that's fine. But I thought the pacing was great.
I agree with the pacing.
Yeah.
I thought it was great when the stories were working
Right.
and the arcs were working.
Yeah.
I wanted more actually.
When they
I would have
didn't,
taken.
the pacing was
I
horrible.
could have taken an hour if it was the other story arcs because by the end of every episode, after 4 episodes for some reason I was either on too many microdose mushrooms or I was high because I called Jesse and was like, dude, the season's over. And he's like, bro, that was, he was like,
did.
dude, that was episode 4.
Oh, it
and I was
was
like,
4.
oh, sweet. I thought since the episodes were longer, I
Yeah.
thought it was like done at episode 4.
It might have even been 3. I'm like, what are you?
It was
what the hell are
4.
you
Yeah, I
talking
was
about,
sad.
man?
So then I found myself every week being like, man, I can't wait till next week. And that's a good sign for a show, right?
Yeah, and I like that structure too. Is that we get the first 3, then we get the weekly. But I just think that Amber in the comic was more like really just some random girl that he was with and trying to make it work with, and he couldn't make it work. But she literally at the end of their
She was
breakup,
also white.
yeah, she was also.
I liked her. I liked them changing her race.
Yeah, she's also a ginger, but I'll never get my two.
No, you got Adam
Adams.
Eve.
Yeah, Adam Eve's
Adam
a
Eve
ginger.
rules. You're right. Sorry, I'm being selfish. Victim role. Whatever. But the like with it, they fleshed her out and gave her kind of like some sort of dimension, and like her, she propelled Adam Eve to be like, oh wow, maybe I just want to help people, and that is an arc that she does in the comics, and that was, I don't know if it was informed by Amber at the time, but it was just like, I like that they fleshed it out. I like that they fleshed out William too. So wait, I'm going to ask, because I think this is the most controversial episode of the series, was episode 6, where they go to the college and everyone's turned into a robot, and then that's when the breakup happens. The internet, when that came out, or at least what I saw in the Facebook groups I'm in, they're just like, oh, this episode sucked. I hated, they took 2 steps back because, episodes 4 and 5 were super strong. But like, for me, seeing, him having to get broken up with, it's like good. And then number 2 is watching William go through that like torturous breakup thing. I was like watching his dude get straight lobotomized and there's nothing he could do about it. And Mark like was selfish and a failure as a friend. I was like, oh my gosh. And then the beat when after it's all
Mark let the guy get turned into a robot.
he did.
Yeah. He said beat. Sorry.
And then after all, like Cecil Stedman,
Cecil.
or Cecil, I do it every time. Cecil would come in and he's like,
That's
after
it, Cecil?
It's Cecil.
That's
Cecil. And so they pretty much, there's a quick clip where you just see William just straight like bawl his eyes out in the room. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I needed, because I think that's the strength of giving these characters more time. Because, what's crazy is I like the format of the Guardians of the Globe in episode 1 just biting the dust. But in the comic, that's like issue like 7.
It happens. It happens early.
Yeah, I think
No.
it's
I read an article. The author of the comic said that it does happen later on in the comic, but for the show we wanted to put it straight at the beginning, and it did make sense for me because I wouldn't have been into it. I would have been like, I'm over the show.
Oh my gosh.
You had to get people that way, and I think the whole that episode that you're talking about, I mean, it wasn't one of the weaker ones. Yeah, it was one of the weaker ones. I agree, it was one of the weaker ones because it felt like the whole entire episode was just a setup for Cecil to be like, oh, I'm gonna I'm going to take this bad guy and throw him in jail. Wink.
Yeah.
It's like you knew the cyborg technology was going to be used by Cecil later on.
Yeah.
I knew it. I was like, well, that whole episode was just so Cecil could get this cyborg guy. And then we're going to see that evil guy later with his cyborgs probably fighting Omni-Man. And boom, it happened. And I was like, oh, I knew it.
Talk about another guy, though. Freaking Ezra Miller voiced D.A. Sinclair, the guy who's making the robots. It was insane, the voice cast.
Yeah,
It was
there was
really
a
good.
lot of people. And I love that Amazon has that thing when you hit pause, you can see who's...
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that
voice
is good.
acting
Because you
is
know you
the
think
X-ray.
of that. You're like, oh, why can't I think of whose voice this is?
There.
Yep.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
So,
his is hard to put a finger on.
The only one I didn't like was J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man. I wanted somebody else.
I agree because he's so... I can only picture his
Him.
old ass face.
Yeah. It's so distinctly J.K. Simmons.
Yes, I agree.
You guys, I was like literally when that was announced, I cheered, and everything he gave me in the series was perfect.
I'm not
You love
saying
him.
I'm not saying he
Yeah.
did a bad job.
No,
he's
not at all.
doing a great job, but all I can think of when I see Omni-Man's face in this like younger-ish, non-wrinkled,
Non J.K. Simmons body.
yeah, and then exactly. All I can see is J.K. Simmons' face. That's all I can see every time he talks. But it does a great job.
He does a great job.
As long as he does the performance great, I eventually get over it by the end of the show. But half of the show, I'm like, man, I'm just picturing that guy's face every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay, so then with the voice casting and all that, who's your guys' like favorite characters? Do you think? I know Jesse's.
Oh, for sure.
Who's
I
your
told
favorite?
you.
Before we get there, who's your favorite, Jared?
No, Jesse, go, because I got to think about that.
Rexplode. Rexplode for sure is the best
You know what?
character.
Sorry, that's another voice actor that I think missed the mark for me because he's so fucking like he's such a typecast character for me that I either can only think of him as in like Always Sunny
Yeah.
or like I'm just like and you're playing the same guy like
But he's
you
the
gotta get
best.
naked and like it's just those two guys. All I can picture is both of those actors each time they talk. I'm like, dang it.
I thought it was.
He's
the
almost
perfect
like too
choice.
funny.
Yeah, he was the perfect. That character in the book is far more of a douchebag than he was in the show.
Oh,
Rexplode-
really?
Yeah, I mean he's a douche in
I
the
thought he
show.
was like overtly 10 times douchier in the show than the comic.
Okay, he's more of a dick than like to Amber.
Yeah.
I guess in the book, right?
Yeah.
He's funny. He's fucking funny in the show.
It was so true to the character no matter what in the
And
series.
My favorite episode or portion was when him and Monster Girl are going at it, and she's making fun of his dick.
Oh my god.
It's so good. And then she beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. It's so funny. So you're only seeing like Jason Mantzoukas as like Jason Mantzoukas, not
Yes.
Rexplode.
Yeah.
I just remember we went over it too when the voice cast came out. I was just like, oh my gosh, all of these actors are so good. There's so many great choices, and so I just think that's so funny. That
I just wish that they almost would have done like what video games do, and they would have just made him look like Jason
Mantzoukas,
Yeah, it's like just at least just make him look like him a little bit. Give him a beard, like you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying. Then it'd be a little bit easier for me,
Oh, but that's also one thing I hate about when video games do that.
Yeah, I don't hate
Keanu
it.
Reeves cyberpunk thing. I was just like,
I
it's
didn't hate it.
Keanu Reeves.
I don't hate it.
It's not Johnny Silverhand.
I didn't hate
Silverfist,
it.
whatever the fuck his name is.
I don't know. I didn't play that.
Back to the ranch.
But
Let's go.
sorry, voice cracked. With that show. Okay, wait. So then, who's your favorite, Jared?
This isn't gonna make much sense, but Jesse kind of
Jesse was.
he kind of ruined. No, he didn't ruin it, but he kind of like led me, and now
I do.
Now you're only thinking about
this character, the guy that Seth Rogen plays.
Alan the Alien.
Yes. Okay. So the name is fucking hilarious. Alan the Alien.
Jesse was talking
And
about.
then like when that came in, I was like, yes. I cannot wait for more Alan the Alien. His job is amazing. I feel like he's gonna fuck everybody up. He's funny. Seth Rogen is. So I was like sold on him, and then he went away, and that was one of the flaws of the show where I was like, give me more Alan the Alien. Then I talked to Jesse, and he was like, dude, in the comic there's way more, and he's hilarious.
Yeah.
So like this idea of Alan the Alien, I've already fallen in love with. So he's my favorite character, even though we've got none of them. But
He
he
came
came
back
back
in the
in the
last
last episode, which I'm thinking, which is awesome because I think we're gonna get a lot more of him in season 2. So far, Alan the Alien is my favorite, even though there's only 2 minutes of him.
Yeah.
Just the idea of him.
yeah.
He was my favorite in the book.
Yeah.
He was my favorite character.
And then like just like comic book wise, like fighting. You just get to see Invincible fight the most.
Yeah.
So I kind of like Invincible as my favorite character, but I think
Yeah, that's
Robot and Monster Girl are the two most interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool what they did with those stories. I love that she gets massive but then gets younger. Like, that's fucked.
Yeah.
But that's so cool because she has to pick and choose when she's going to do it. I was like, oh, that's really smart, even if they're just going to throw her in and kill her.
Yeah.
And, I thought they were going to. And then just the robot arc, I think, was really cool. They're not like, I wouldn't pick them if I was playing them as like characters in a video game.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You'd pick Invincible.
I'd pick Alan the Alien.
I'd pick Omni-Man.
So he told me when we were reading the books that Mark's Invincible outfit is just the Image Comics logo.
If you look at it,
If you look at it, the yellow and on his face is just the eye.
Whoa.
He's just the Image Comic logo.
Wow.
Yeah.
is that mind blowing?
Not really, but that's awesome.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like marketing 101 right
Yeah.
there.
My favorite character is actually now two favorite characters, and this is a departure from the comic that I really loved. I think, well, there's two of them, but one wasn't a departure and one was. First, I think Sandra Oh playing Debbie Grayson was her whole arc and her everything that she did in the series was amazing. Like the whole in the first episode or second episode when she has to tell Mark, or he says, or she's like, come down, and he's like, make me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then her being like, wow, my son's an asshole, like, you're really gonna do that? Like, and so that whole arc was amazing because that's not in it. Her trying to, like, her being the most human, you know what I mean? She was way more like, because obviously Omni-Man's painted as much more of a dick in the series, but in the show, when I say series, I mean the show. But for Debbie, she really kind of like satiated that and was like a human mother who cared about her son and was just trying to like make reparations. She's like, there's the whole scene too when she's trying to help Red Rush's wife sell the home so she could like have some healing. Then when the dragon comes, she's trying to get Nolan to go like save whatever Italy, and he's like, no, Cecil can do it. And so that whole thing, and I just loved, again, Jesse's favorite moment, or one of his favorite moments that we always talked about, was when Omni-Man says that Debbie was like a pet to him. And that being the case, watching that go down, I just thought was so, like, seeing her feel that out, I just loved. And then her participation in the mystery of what happened to the Guardians of the Globe.
Yeah, she has struggles in both the what we call the book, the trade
Comic, yeah.
comic in the comic and in the show. She has the same struggle. It's just portrayed differently.
Yeah.
Because in the book, she's struggling with her husband being a superhero and always flying off at dinner time or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's still there. It's just the way that they portray it in the show is different. But it was great. Either way, it was great.
Yeah, it's like they tried
the same place.
It's like they tried to take that struggle and put it on Invincible and Amber's relationship.
Right.
Well, it's like
yeah, right.
it's
It
way
works
more
better.
serious when you're fucking married
Uh-huh.
and like your marriage might be falling apart.
True.
And I thought it was cool that she kind of you know what? Who's the fucking detective? The devil detective. He's for sure my favorite character.
Damien Darkblood.
Fuck yeah, dude. That guy was the shit. I was so bummed when they put him away. I loved him. I was
Does
so
that happen
sad.
in the books at some point? Because it didn't when I read him. He like zaps him back to hell.
But I thought that was
don't
great.
remember.
I thought that was great. So for her to take over, for the mom to take over, was a super cool thing. I think Sandra Oh, Stephen
Yoon.
Yoon, and the Walter Goggins.
Yeah.
I think they're the three best voice actors on it. Like they're crushing their parts like so fucking so well. But I thought that I thought it was cool that the mom took over and she was kind of the one that like found out, that Omni-Man was the fucking asshole.
Yeah, like, and it gave her something to do, because in the comic it was like her biggest struggle was just waiting around for her husband to come back. But that, she's like, an empowered woman. You know what I mean? Like, just had a task, and that's what I liked about her, and that's what I liked about Amber. Whether or not I liked how Amber like played out, but Debbie I really loved. And then that was my second favorite character is Cecil, because his like, when I talk about a perfect voice cast, I think hands down like the best in the series. And like their relationship, and he's introduced way earlier in this one too. He like in the show than he is in the comic. So I freaking loved Walter Goggins, and I just thought I'm so impressed by him, and it was the way they characterized him in the entire series was just perfect. Like, I hate what I do, but it's necessary, you know. Jesse and I were talking, and
yeah, he mentions like she's like, I hate you in the 9th episode, and he's like, yeah, that's why I hate me too, because I have to do the fucked up shit.
Yeah,
you know, because he was trying to kill Mark.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, I don't have a choice. I don't know whose side he's on yet. Like, it has to be done. He was much more interesting in the show than he was in the book. The book, he's just kind of a shady guy who you don't really trust.
Yeah,
I don't trust Cecil very much.
No, he's likable.
He's likable.
He's like extremely likable in the show. Even if when he does bad stuff, you're like, I like this dude.
Yeah, and then I also like just the Taylor. Not that he had very much time too, but you know, he had.
Taylor's great. It's Mark Hamill.
It's Mark.
It's
Hamill.
interesting though.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
It is.
Could you tell it was Mark Hamill?
No, had no idea.
I definitely could, because he's done so many for the DC animated universe, and that's my bread and butter. So like, not even just Joker, but just. And like Avatar and like so many, he's he's huge voice actor.
I think he's better known in voice acting than he is from his Star Wars. I'm not better known, but he does a hell of a lot of it.
In my world, he's more on my radar because of that than Star Wars. Personally,
with him though, that's where I think the show does a really good job with some of these smaller cameos or smaller parts. There was still something like the idea of Omni-Man coming and having a beer with him when he knew that Omni-Man fucking killed the Guardians is terrifying. It was impactful, right? So there are these like windows of where they have these story arcs come in with these characters where it's fucking scary, because Omni-Man is so powerful that it worked. Like, it worked so well when it wasn't. I think they do a really good job of that, and that's where I feel like the high school romance falls through, because it's like, man, you just gave me the fucking outfitter for one episode, for not even half of one episode, and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time he's having a beer with him,
because you thought he was going to kill him.
Yeah, and then you go back to Amber, and it's like, I don't care. There's no weight to it. Like, what happens if they break up? Whatever.
Yeah.
But when you have a wife and a kid and a divorce, and you're not in love with them, and you find out your husband's a murderer, like, there's weight behind that. That's heavy. Mm-hmm. But if your high school sweetheart breaks up with you, nobody fucking cares.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? There's just no weight.
You can go be with Adam Eve.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the whole show is so heavy, and there's so much weight to everything, and it's so detrimental when something happens, and it's so terrifying that you're throwing in something that's just like on the surface that I don't think anybody's really going to connect with, you know, unless maybe it's because I'm married now and have a kid, but, you know,
whatever.
Maybe some high school kids would be like, no, I think that's more impactful.
I don't know if you knew, but when I was 18, I got broken up with, and let me tell you, that was a major arc in my life.
Can we talk about that?
No, gosh, no.
I feel like I like what they did with Adam Eve, because I thought in the book that they made her a little bit jealous of the relationship.
Yeah.
Where in the show, she sees him through the window, and she's like, good for you, Mark. Which I was like, oh, thank God they didn't make her jealous, because that's just like...
That's what I thought they were going to do.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't. I think, you know, there's a little bit more, whatever, progress for them or whatever.
Sure.
It be. And she's more mature than Mark. You know what I mean? She's just, and like, she's already balanced that whole thing, whatever it be.
Yeah, you could see they're setting up a lot for season 2.
Okay, my next question is, what's your guys' favorite episode? Like, you know, for what went down. I don't know if you guys like looked at like the formal episode structure, but I definitely have mine if you guys need that first for context.
No, mine's the last episode. It was the best one.
Okay, let's talk about then the fight scene.
Yeah.
That went down in the last episode. How do we feel about that?
The train scene?
That was the gnarliest thing I've ever seen.
It was
like
super gnarly.
Because I watched it all twice through. Like, I'm probably at episode 7 now, but so I just watched that beer scene with. Oh my gosh! Anyways, going back to what Jesse's saying,
the subway, dude.
When literally like I thought I saw the Guardians of the Globe scene. It was like I didn't realize how freaking bloody that was. You know, upon rewatching, and I was like, oh, it was a massacre. Mm-hmm. And then that scene in particular, the fight with Mark and Nolan. Insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so specifically when he uses his face to stop a subway, and then the subway goes through him, and he just literally everyone dies on his face.
It's like
he goes through the subway car. Yeah. He just splatter half. He just 50-50s everybody. It's
and
so
there's
good.
Intestines and brains. And shit flying all over the place. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, more.
Or when he tries to catch the building and he's holding the lady's arm and it's just her arm left. He like,
Yeah.
tries to save the daughter and the mom, and he doesn't get either one of them. He's just standing there, and it's her arm. It's just her arm and her bone sticking out, and you're like, oh fuck.
I don't think
It's
I'm gonna
unsettling.
rewatch it.
The whole
It's
show
so-
is so unsettling, and I'm telling you, it's the fucking art style makes it unsettling. The
Yeah.
art style makes it more unsettling, which I think is so awesome.
Well, and the comic gets really grotesque. Do you think that there was any point, or disagree if you want to? Do you think there's any point where the violence was excessive and a little too much?
More. That's the
It
point.
was pretty excessive in the
That's the
subway,
point.
dude. I was
That's
like,
the
oh
point.
my god.
But I like how they're balancing it out. If they gave us that every time, you'd be like,
Yeah.
okay.
And they were trying to show
They
the
started, like-
carnage that was happening to the world as they were fighting.
But it's almost like, okay, so you think that they're overdoing it, right? But I actually would disagree with that. I think it's the realest, like, superhero style, violence that there would be. That's how it would be. You would miss sometimes, and you would only get the kid, and the mom's fucking arm would be in your hand.
Yeah.
You would get pushed into a subway car, and like, it's a little bit like with the Avengers, where you're killing people, and it's like, you touched on it. But this show, I feel like that's what would really fucking happen.
Yeah, we're all
Because
just
these
bags
two
of
guys know
meat.
they're both gonna they could both kill each other, and their lives are on the line. So everybody else's lives mean nothing, right? And
Yeah.
if you're gonna get in a bar fight, so it's pretty much just it's a bar fight, but just the planet is the bar, and
Yeah.
whoever gets in the way is just getting in the way. And like Omni-Man obviously doesn't give a fuck about human beings,
Yeah.
but so that's
he
go-
swaps that dude's head?
right? Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? It's just gonna
smacking microphones.
those
just-
things are
wouldn't be
gonna
an
happen.
episode.
Yeah, you're not just.
Boom! He smashes that guy's face.
Wait, which one?
Mark saves the guy from the jet. He
I haven't.
saves-
It's
I haven't
it's the
rewatched
pilot.
this episode.
Yeah, he
yet.
saves the pilot, and then Omni-Man's like, "Oh,
Why'd you
would
do
this
that?"
upset
Oh, I
you?"
remember
And he smashes his head. He's like, "Oh, too bad. Didn't like that." It's messed up,
God,
dude.
it's
Yeah.
so- oh,
And his eyes are all bloodshot because he got hit with the laser 7 times, and you're like, Omni-Man is fucked up.
I'm so glad that he Mark. We need to talk, and he had all the bloodshot eyes.
Okay, so you know this. I want to ask him because I
Yeah.
thought they did a bad job of showing this. Did you know that Nolan was a super well-known author? Like that's his Clark Kent persona. No.
He doesn't even have a job in my eyes. They never even.
They say it for 10 seconds at the end when Cecil says, "Oh, the books and blah blah blah." And I'm like, they totally glossed over that.
Oh, you
Where
shouldn't even have just put it in then.
They did put it in
Yeah, like,
at the
what's
end.
the
And I was
point?
like, that was a misstep because I don't remember them bringing it up. But it was a thing in the book. That's his Clark Kent
Yeah.
alter ego. He's an author, like a super popular author.
He's like a sci-fi author.
And so Cecil's trying to make it right to Debbie Gibson.
Deborah Grayson.
He's trying to say like he blew up in the house explosion, and it's going to make his books more popular because now he's a dead author, and we're going to give you all the money.
They make Debbie Grayson T-shirts, and I think I'm gonna buy one. So
That's cool.
Is it her drinking wine?
it's just like a black T-shirt with her on the pocket, and it just says Debbie in the Invincible handwriting, and it's awesome.
That's
Did
yeah.
you? This is
down.
the other thing that I didn't like, but Cameron loves it, and it's just me being stupid. But I hated when it was like they were about to say Invincible, and then it cut to the Invincible.
Loved it.
That was my favorite.
Splatter.
Yeah,
It was just such like I was telling him I wouldn't mind it. I think I wanted a voiceover too of someone saying Invincible, even if it was Mark, like saying Invincible. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's campy.
It was just like it's
fun.
happening, and
it's
not
like
God.
I think Jesse's is more campy. That's
Yeah,
why.
no, I
Whatever.
guess you're right.
But
Yeah.
sometimes like it was like 20 minutes into the episode too.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was cool. I always
You
liked it. It
didn't
was
know when to
random.
expect. It was like 20 minutes in, Invincible.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it just took me out. of
But
the
you
show.
knew it was
Whatever.
coming
Yeah, of
when they
course.
said the line. You're like, oh, and then you got it, and then there was more blood, and then I was happy.
Jared just wants the violence.
Oh my
Give me
god,
all the violence.
you guys are so funny. Okay, wait. So that was your favorite episode.
Yeah, how could it not be? It was.
It was
that carried the most weight.
It was huge. You know what? It didn't. The one thing that I didn't like about it is that it was really just when Nolan flies off. I think the most important beat in the comic when he flies away. Oh my gosh, I forget every time. Most important part in the comic when he flies away is like you can see he's fighting back tears in the comic, or either he might have like a single tear, kind of that kind of deal.
Yeah.
In this show, they didn't do that, and
Yeah,
I
they
was
did.
like, did they?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's flying through space, and his tear just hovers there.
Okay, good, because I'm like I needed.
The tear's just sitting there.
He didn't look upset when he flew away, and that's why. And I
You'll
and that,
watch it.
That's why I need to rewatch. Guys, I finished the series, but I always need to watch them twice, and so I didn't make it that far this time. But that being the case, that was the one thing where I was like, I just wanted him to be more tangibly upset.
You'll see it the second time. He is.
Good, and so, okay, great. I liked the new one.
So yeah,
Cool.
stop.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Well, Debbie does say too that he is a writer like 2 or 3 times in the show.
I don't believe you.
I don't
Okay,
believe that
well, I
either.
just
Yeah.
rewatched
And
it. She told him.
So I've asked everybody who didn't, obviously, I asked him and a couple other people that recommended. I said, "Did you know he was an author?" And everyone's like, "Nope,
I'm like,
totally missed that."
I'm like, you can rewatch it and find out. Just
Well, I will not.
okay, Jared, what was your favorite episode?
The Mars episode.
No, it wasn't.
Nope, it was stupid as fuck.
Okay, wait.
I
so,
love it though. It makes me so happy. The Mars episode is my favorite because it's like so fun to talk about.
And that was Mahershala Ali, who's the leader of the Martians.
No, he wasn't. That was like
no, that was the other guy.
Yeah.
Never mind. Mahershala Ali was the
Titan.
The other guy was the what's his name? He's in all the
don't know.
Marvel movies.
he's
The
the
other like big black dude that they always like.
he
put-
plays the wizard Shazam in
He does?
Shazam. Yeah,
You know him if I showed him to you, you'd be like, oh yeah, that guy.
I'll pull it up now. So, okay, why did you love that episode?
No, he hated that episode.
Well, okay, actually,
I
let's
didn't
go
hate
into
it.
that.
It was fun.
Let's
it
go
was
into
just
why you
stupid.
didn't like it.
Well, I didn't not like it, but this is the thing. So you're writing a show, and so they probably don't watch it because they're just writing it. It's not even done yet, right?
True.
But it's just some big misses. Like how did they let that slide? So let's go over this. He's got to go to Mars, right? He
Yes.
has to go to Mars with human astronauts.
Mm-hmm.
Even though to explore
investigate.
and find out what is on Mars and what's going on Mars and if there's life on Mars and all these other things. Yet, one of the guardians of the globe
was a Martian.
is a
is
fucking
the
Martian. Yeah, isn't his name?
The Martian?
What's his name?
Martian Man.
Martian
Yeah.
Man. Just ask Martian Man what's on Mars, right? Also, you're in cahoots with all these other superheroes that can fly and go to space. Just have them go and grab you a rock and bring it back.
Yeah,
The
like
humans
Mark
don't need to do
didn't. I mean, I get it. They were trying to give Mark something to do.
Yeah. Well, then what was also very odd is that Mark and his dad have been flying out to space numerous times. He sits on the moon and has a conversation with Alan.
Uh-huh.
He has numerous conversations with his dad. He
In
gets in
space.
fights in space, but then he has to go to Mars, and all of a sudden he has to wear a space helmet.
Oh shit! Was he wearing a space?
He was
Yeah.
wearing a fucking space helmet the whole time.
He
Yeah.
can only breathe so long in space.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Mars can't, as far as we understand, they can't, like, humans can't live there. And so he's still part human.
But yeah. But then why was he allowed to go into space without a helmet?
He could hold his breath for a
He
little
could hold
while.
his breath.
Oh, they're
with
holding
Alan.
their breath?
Yeah.
And, well, how are they talking?
That's why
Wait, hold
Alan's
on.
talking to him in his head.
The Martian episode was weird. Yeah, I guess you could talk while you're holding your breath.
Yeah, but
No, he was
but
talking
him
in
and
their
Alan,
minds.
he's talking to his brain. It's
Their
like-
mind talking?
Yeah,
No,
'cause
but
he-
his dad. There's
No,
other
yeah, they're
episodes where they're
talking.
talking with
They're
their
talking in
mouths.
space.
They're
Yes,
talking with their
they're talking with
mouths. Their mouthies.
Mouthies.
Him and his dad. Papa,
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Papa, up and floating up in space, talking with their
Papa
mouths.
only.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't know. You're so. I'm like, hey, I'm so glad we just found out that Jared can hold his breath and talk. That was a discovery that happened on this podcast.
Well, what if it was
know.
the thing you didn't know that you could do?
I know, but now you know that you did. And you
Everybody
found that
knows
out
they
here.
could do it. Yeah. So if you're in a pickle and you're in a poisonous room, but you have to tell everybody where the key is to the door, you can do it.
What? Where did that example come from?
Don't
The keys in
worry
my
about
butt.
it.
I love that. Okay, so also the guy's name is like Jimon Hansu.
You got to show him the picture. He knows who he is.
Here's the picture. Yeah, everyone.
Whoa, he's not like a random actor. He's a great actor.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But-
he's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in it.
Yeah.
He's
That
the
was-
Mar-
he was the
he's
Martian
Oh, yeah, I
Martian
knew
King.
that though.
he's the
Yeah.
Martian
Yeah,
King.
for sure. I thought that was a great choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot. Great choices.
Really? Yeah.
But yeah, that was just such a funny episode. It's like, what? What are you guys doing? Why are you sending astronauts? What are you doing?
Well, also-
send Invincible to get a rock. Like they were just picking up rocks and shit. And then what do you do? Why has he got a helmet on? He didn't have a helmet on before. And like, wait, Martian Man, you're acting like you guys don't know what's going on Mars. Like, you
Yeah.
gotta just ask Martian Man.
And in episode 9 too, when there was like the montage of like everything happening, they showed the little squid things. Had they taken over Mars?
Yes. Yes.
Little squid things.
Oh, and also like
Which is
I
terrifying.
totally realized because I didn't catch this. One of the astronauts was a freaking like Martian.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It was humans.
No.
They were all humans.
No. One of the astronauts that came back.
Oh, he was a bad guy.
Yeah, he was a bad
No,
guy.
they're setting that up. He was a squishy dude, a tentacle face.
Yeah.
No,
and,
no.
And in the patch, even in the patch, there was the patch turned into a tentacle thing.
Yeah, that's what I was like. That's what I noticed. I was like, that's gonna sound so good. Okay, so I'm glad we talked about that because I knew that was you had some plot holes with that.
He didn't tell you his favorite episode.
Yeah, I was like, it's thus. Okay, so what was your favorite episode?
I don't know. I don't have a favorite one. It was probably the first one, just
one.
because I was like never seen anything. It was so original to me.
That Guardians fight, and I was telling Jesse too, because when I rewatched it, it's when Red Rush is punching Omni-Man, and he's like punching him, but then his head's getting crushed, and his freaking fists turn into like limp wrists. Just he's hitting him with his hands, but like they're flopping on him.
Yeah, see, that's real shit that would happen. You are going to die. You're fighting a fucking invincible man. So Mr. Fast Guy is gonna hit him until the nubs of his hands turn into something. You know what I'm saying? That, like, you watch other superhero movies or any other fight scenes or whatever, they're fake. They're set up. I actually think most people would think that this show is overboard and unrealistic, but I think it's the most real in my opinion.
If you had a power, I think with a show like The Boys, and obviously Superman could never, DC could never do this, but with something like The Boys, I think the biggest thing with a character like Homelander, I don't know if you guys watch it, but for the fans, the biggest thing about something like Homelander is the potential for damage that he could do, and it's just the threat, and that's the most biggest looming thing. In Invincible, they literally just show you what the power of the greatest power on Earth could do. You know what I mean, to them, and it's just nothing.
Yeah, that's why I think it's cooler that it's animated.
Yeah, and so
Jared's holding his breath again.
Also, too, my favorite part about it being animated was just that you could see the budget, like that they
can do more with their allotted
Exactly.
budget without having to use the CGI and money on all that.
and it's just like,
big
oh man, they
stuff.
could shell out in scenes like the freaking subway, which I hope I never see live ever.
What was your favorite episode?
My favorite episode was actually episode 5 with
Battle Beast.
with Titan and Mahershala Ali, because I think
Was that the Battle Beast episode?
Yeah. It was a departure from, the main plot, but I think it showed so much character growth in all aspects.
Yeah.
And the setup was amazing, and then on top of that, it was just about time Mark got his ass kicked.
Yeah, and Omni-Man told him that, hey man, don't help this guy. I don't know if he said he's using you, but he was definitely using him.
Yeah, he's like, but Omni-Man's thing when he was telling him that was, why are we trying to save a few lives? You and I, we only deal on scales of millions, which kind of proved him to be more of a dick. And it's like, all right, so
He wasn't wrong, though.
he wasn't wrong. And Mark, he tried to go in and just be a good person to this guy. He tried to help him out. It bit him in the ass. He got his ass handed to him. The Guardians of the Globe, freaking Black Samson almost dies hardcore. He has the gnarliest
They cut his arm
freaking.
off.
Still confused about Black Samson.
Yeah.
What
He didn't. He lost his powers.
He lost his
They really
powers.
just skimmed over that.
They did.
They're
They
like, you
don't-
got.
they
They're
don't
like,
in
you
the
got a
book.
suit. You ain't got no fucking powers. And I was like, oh, he's just the suit. And then they were like, your powers came back. And I was like, what are his powers?
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, and it's more.
And you know what?
he's more of a
I know
character.
he's your favorite character, but fucking Firecracker guy, hate his powers.
You're fucking
so
lame,
stupid.
right?
So fucking dumb.
He's Jubilee.
He's Jubilee, and I always thought Jubilee was fucking stupid. She was cute. I had a crush
she
on her, but it's like,
throws
come on, what are you doing?
fireworks out of her
Fire
hands?
fucking working people.
It's not even fireballs. It's just
You know what? You know what? That was one thing that I thought that I had a problem with is the new Guardians of the Globe didn't seem like the best. Like none of their superpowers, I was like, ooh, they're unbeatable. I'm like, these guys are all kind of janky.
No, and that's why I like
purpose.
him.
Yeah, they do it on purpose.
Okay.
I super loved the scene too where Rex is scrubbing the wall.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, you can't do, Samson's like, you can't do that. And they all jump up to fight him. He's like, now we're a team.
That was cool.
I was like, yeah, boys.
I'm just so down with that episode and the Guardian, because it showed too the Guardians of the Globe weren't ready to take on a threat, and then Mark got his he didn't just, because we saw him get tossed around a little bit, but he got his ass beat bad. And so in Battle Beast too, again with the gratuitous violence, it was it's one thing when we see Omni-Man get super violent, but there's one point when he freaking smashes Mark's chest with that huge mallet axe thing, and the blood comes up, and his face gets drenched in blood, and he licks his lips like it's a fucking baptism. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen.
I believe it's called
Can we unpack that?
I believe it's called a mace.
Yeah, unpack. What?
So at baptisms, priests lick their lips
No,
with the water of the babies?
I'm not trying to say that.
What the fuck?
No, but I just mean
what kind
like,
of baptisms are you going to, bud?
No, but it was like, he looked up.
baby juice.
It was this. I do not confirm any of these, but it's when it's
we know.
Condone?
We know.
condone. Yeah, I'm like,
It's
I'm
when
not trying
he
to.
slams his chest and pops his chest cavity open.
He pops his chest cavity open, but then he it's when Battle Beast looks up to the sky, holds his hands open, closes his eyes, and there's all
drinks
that
the
blood on his
blood.
face.
Yeah, he's like,
and he
"Give
just,
me
And that
the blood."
reminded you of a
but
baptism.
it like when he's like,
He's
it
being baptized
it
in
looked,
blood.
it looked spiritual, and that's what I mean.
He wasn't baptizing Mark.
You know what? Wouldn't be surprised if you were a Satanist.
I feel like.
Wouldn't be surprised.
That's I feel like you and I have gone down this rabbit hole too when
Yeah,
we just
wouldn't-
talk about
wouldn't-
church on
wouldn't be
this.
surprised.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I didn't mean to say that to
okay,
you,
it's
of all people.
it's
You're
all
a
right.
good boy.
Nobody said it was easy, but nobody said it had to be this hard. But
That was good.
but okay, so yeah, that was my favorite because
it
showed,
was a good episode. I
and then
liked that
Mahershala Ali did a great job, just like when it comes to world building outside of the main arc. Because yes, the we knew the Nolan and Will or
episode.
Nolan
And also
and,
Machine Head.
yeah, all that we
He's
knew.
like, which one's Machine Head?
We knew that was going to be a payoff, but that was like an episode.
The fucking guy with the machine head.
That was, and Mark was like, "Who's that?" That was so, and then just like the twist in it and everything.
I love that they put like robot auto tune on his voice. Though.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah,
that was a
good.
cute little
it was.
detail.
It was just a great freaking episode, like all around, and it showed that like we can still make good content outside of the main narrative happening. Like we can build this world out, and
Totally,
I thought that one was the best one.
That was what they did so wonderfully with this show. Other than the romance arc, that's what I'm saying. Like all of this, I never was like, this is random. Other than Mars, that was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
But the rest of them were so impactful. They were awesome. And
Yeah.
the cool thing, like, man, they made a lot of fucking characters. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
gotta give it up to the comic book creators, because I'm sure all those characters were in the comic book.
Yeah.
Like, they made so many characters, but there wasn't a lot of characters. I was like, man, that was just like they phoned that in. Like even Machine Head and like, you know, everything. I'm like, these are fucking cool characters. Even
Yeah.
if they're dying off in one episode, they're
Yeah.
still like, I'm into that character.
Yeah.
And
I could
also-
watch any. I could go. You could give me a Battle Beast fucking
Oh,
show, and I'd be like, yeah, let's follow this guy.
Yeah.
You know.
The Mahler twins, when
I was
the
gonna
robot
say.
episode, the Mahler twins are both clones.
yeah.
Which I thought in the book you never really know at first. You're like, one of them's the real one and one of them's a clone. And then in that episode, you come to find out that they're both clones because the original one is dead.
Yeah, I think when it comes to again honorable mentions and characters, I think what you're saying, Jared, is super right, because just how fleshed out these characters are, even for how minimally they're on screen,
Sure.
is great. And I think that just comes to like shine the best in the Mahler twins, because I was like, they're honorable mentions for my favorite character because they just rule.
Mm-hmm. And the book too. They were my honorable mention.
Yeah, they
Like,
were-
I love these guys.
And like the way that they did, like, you know, I mean, you're just kind of following their arc, and then a robot kind of does shifty robot things, you know, with them, where he's like, okay, I want you to build my body.
I like what they did with that, because you think that Robot's gonna be a bad guy for a little bit.
There's
a villain, which is cool.
the
you ever seen the original
yeah.
Total Recall?
no.
He's
Fuck
like
yeah.
Guado.
Oh
Is that
yeah,
Guado?
it does look like Guado. I thought
right?
the same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Brah.
All right, wow.
Go watch that movie with
Oh,
Arnold
it's
Schwarzenegger.
fantastic.
It's great.
I will. Okay, guys, I think I have. Let's see how many more questions I have for you. It's probably not that many, but Jesse, one major one is, how did you feel about the departures from the comics? Because there were differences, and
There
that's,
were. They timed things. Like there was stuff in the last episode that was early on in the books.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I never looked at it and was like, well, I wish they hadn't have done that. It just seemed like they were stretching out the content for longer than I wanted. Hence me saying they could have been shorter episodes.
Yeah,
You know, they
Yeah.
were using a lot of, they're just stretching. But again, it's fine, you know.
yeah, it
It's-
wasn't.
all the liberties that they took to make things the way that they did, I thought they did a great job. There was nothing I looked at and was like, well, what the fuck?
Okay, and then Jesse and I have had this conversation interpersonally. This question's for everyone. How do we feel about a series like this compared to the MCU content that we're getting? Because Jesse and we were talking about this, and like, so for something like WandaVision or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, how does this compare? Because it's a very similar, you know, it's a superhero story, whether or not it's not the same genre. it's in the medium. You know what I mean? It's in the realm.
But it's done so much different because it's animated, and they can take so much more liberties with the like gratuitous violence.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much that would cost for them to do that on screen in live action.
Yeah.
Like, man, it'd be expensive.
To be honest, I'm more excited for season 2 of Invincible than I am for any of the other. I liked Invincible better than Falcon, Winter Soldier, or WandaVision.
That's how I feel as well.
But it's more my shit. It's more my style. It's like my
he loves animated.
I like animated
garbage.
things. I like ton of violence. I think when you are growing up reading comics and then you come into things like Dark Horse and Image where there's more edge and it's more R and it's more adult, you're like, oh yeah, this is my shit. This is where I want to live in the comic book world. That's still where I live. So when Deadpool comes out and there's an R rating, I'm like, yes, this is going to work, and they don't think it's going to work. So so anything that's less family friendly to me, not saying that those movies and comics aren't fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
This is my personal like wheelhouse. This is the shit that I like.
That's good.
Better than WandaVision.
Yeah,
Not as good as Winter Soldier.
And that's.
But I like watching those shows because it is family friendly, and I get to watch them with my family, and it's something that we look forward to.
I'm just not invested in those characters.
Yeah.
Maybe Winter Soldier, but I don't care about Falcon, and I don't care about Wanda.
It's crazy. It's like, I don't know.
But that's personal. That's personal.
Yeah. It's all preference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no right answer, obviously, and that's why it's like, I think it's so funny with Jesse, because we talk about this on a daily basis. I was like, oh man, like even when, because I'm pretty sure the episodes for Invincible dropped
Fridays.
Yeah, and then Invincible dropped Fridays the same days as Falcon Winter Soldier, and no matter what, I try and watch an Invincible before, which kind of, you know what I mean, even if I'm, even if some episodes were 4s out of 5s or whatever, I was still way more excited to watch that than Falcon Winter Soldier. So
Not me.
Yeah, I know, and
I just waited till it was over and then I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, and I'm so jealous of you. But with that being said, I just think it's so funny, but also that perspective of having, community around what I'm watching. I'm just trying to get it like injected in my veins. You know what I mean? Like, let me get it as soon as possible. I think you're more like, hey, I got to watch with my family, and those are special memories. And I can't quite have that perspective.
You're having it with us.
You can watch it. You can go over to my house and watch it.
See? Oh my gosh.
We should start a family.
Friends. Look at all these friends we have.
My God. Community
being built here on the Cameron Reads Comics podcast. Okay, and now, last question. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I blew that intro. It's going to be like that. Last question. What would you guys rate this series out of 10?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
8.
8 out of 10. Just a solid 8?
Yep.
No decimal points. Okay.
I agree. I was going to say 8.5.
You guys are saying 8.5?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm shocked. Okay, so what makes an 8.5 scale?
8's a great rating.
It's a good rating.
It was a good show. Recommended to anybody.
But it's a good show, not a great show?
I would have liked it a lot more if I hadn't read the books first.
Yeah, I think so. I honestly...
For sure. I 100% fully believe that I probably would have been like, it was a 9.
I think it was like...
And I'm giving it an 8 because there was 8 episodes, 9 episodes, 8 episodes.
8.
There was 8 episodes. 6 of them were great, really, really good. And then there was 2 that weren't very good. So that takes the score down, right? 10 to 2 episodes, not very, very good. See how I do my averages?
That's exactly.
You're good. You're very smart.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to say.
I would highly recommend it to anybody who has,
a 10,
other than like little kids.
For it to be a 10 would mean
perfect.
that every single fucking episode, I was like, holy shit, I am so in love with this show. When there's 2 or 3 episodes where I'm like, could have done without this episode, I can't honestly give it a 10 with I can't say that that's a 10 and feel good
perfection.
You guys are very methodical.
You can't go around throwing around 10s for no reason.
No, see, when you set the standard up at 10s, then it's like, where are you going to go from there?
Oh, I do it all the time.
You can't go higher,
We know.
you know?
Oh, I've gone
like,
higher.
there's not a lot of 10s.
I've given 11s
It's
out
a
of 10.
12.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Out of 10, Cameron.
I know, but if it's that good, it's really that
I don't
good.
even know that. Yeah, I don't even know a lot of shows that I could say. There's a couple seasons of shows that might be 10s, but I don't even know if any shows I've yet watched yet are 10. And Peaky Blinders might be one of them. And I know it's not comic book or whatever, but
hey,
the
we're
first
about
season,
content.
the first season of Peaky Blinders, every fucking episode, I was like, this is the greatest show I've ever watched.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow, really? That's a high bar.
That's a great first season,
a
but the
great
whole
first season.
show is not a 10.
No.
With that season.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So this season for me is an 8.
Yeah.
8.5.
Yeah, that's so funny because I'm like now I'm like thinking about my score. I'm gonna give it a 10. It's like,
You already buried
But
that
I'm not
one,
mad
dude.
at that.
I'm like-
I almost would want to say 10 so more people would watch it because it is that good. It is that good. But
no, you guys, your scale is so fair, and like even like if you break it down, you know what I mean, just like how Jesse broke it down, absolutely makes sense. For me, I'm just like, no,
Yeah, you do you.
because
Let me
I'm
be the
seeing
guy.
something I love already being adapted. Every episode was a like, oh my god, like my face was melting, and then there's exceptional because I'm just really I've realized as I take in content, it's just like I'm not really critically thinking like that. It's just so it's emotive for me, and so that being Falcon Winter Soldier or that being this, it's just like oh my gosh, this thing I love is being brought, and they're flying the way I want them to fly. The gnarly scenes are just as gnarly. And then pacing wise, it was just, I think, absolutely perfect.
it wasn't perfect. The whole show wasn't perfect. So you can't
Cameron's
give it a
always
10.
4 beers deep though, so he's just like, yeah, let's go.
Oh, and even upon rewatchability too, I just think that it is so rewatchable of a show, and so the pure like fun coming from it is just awesome. So yeah, and also my biggest thing. Major props I always want to give to Seth Rogen for making this happen because 2 of my favorite shows are Seth Rogen produced series because he loves the social material, and that is The Boys and that is this. So my dream, actually, everyone, let me reiterate it. The dream would always be to have Seth Rogen on the Cam Reads Comics podcast.
It's a lot. It's gonna happen.
It will. We need a dream. We need like a place we want to go so we can get there. That's all that means. So yeah, big shout out to Seth Rogen for freaking loving this stuff. And yeah. Oh my gosh, I feel like we should do a volume 2 of the comic series review. That'll give Jared time. I want you to read it.
You'd have to read both of them.
Yeah, and that's okay.
I got time.
I want. Yeah, we'll make that happen. I'll drop off books, but yeah, I want you to read them. Then I want to talk about volume 2 before season 2 comes out because I think that.
Or
could be
maybe
so
I
fun.
shouldn't.
Yeah, he might like.
Maybe it
better
might be.
because
It
of-
might be nice to have a perspective from one person that hasn't read the comics. So if there's 3 guys sitting here that have all read the comics and watched the show, it might fuck it up, and we're gonna start picking the same things apart. So I'm gonna actually not read the comics until the whole thing's done.
Oh wow, that's a
You
long
still got
time.
me, baby.
Hey, we'll do what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. All right. Okay. So thank you guys so much for being on the Cam Reads Comics podcast. For everyone listening, make sure to go check out Cam Reads Comics on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and make sure if you're listening on YouTube to like and subscribe, clobber that like button. And if you're on iTunes, feel free to give us a 5-star rating and review. Thank you so much. We're so glad to have you guys. Thank you, Jesse and Jared. Well, thank you so much for coming on, guys. We love you, and we definitely mean it.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.